Hello, my name is Mahek Parvez and I am 17 years old. I live in Chennai, which is located in India. Today, I wish to reinforce that the impact of climate change is on our face. Winters are becoming colder and summers hotter. The more the heat, the more the need to condition the environment around us. This means more air conditioning units, more effluents, more depletion of the ozone layer, and thus more degradation of the environment. This cycle needs to be broken. What better than to harness the forces of nature? This is where my insight as a citizen of Chennai, a city abutting the Indian Ocean, came in handy. In my city, during the summer days, temperatures soar up to about 45 degrees Celsius. But magically, the evenings become windy and cool. This phenomenon always fascinated me, so I dug deep and found a few interesting insights. The convection currents were doing this magical job. The question on my mind was, how do I replicate this process across the board? This is where I designed and researched to create the working of a draft tube.
For this, I used a wooden tray, lined it with aluminium sheet, then created grids and stuck them to the aluminium lined tray. Then it was time to pour the phase change material into it, seal it with another ridged aluminium sheet, and cover it with an arched glass. Next, we assembled two similar structures and placed sensors into it. Now it was time to sink it in with an enclosure. So I used hollow clay load bearing bricks to create a 3 by 3 by 3 room. I then attached the draft tube to the room, inclined at an angle, and supported it with an exhaust chimney on the other side. This process was similarly repeated for two more such structures. Soon, I found that the draft tube was able to create suction force that was able to draw the wind into the chamber. The wind thus moved through the chamber and the draft tube and then out the exhaust pipe. This effectively proved that the draft tube was able to create the convection currents the way it was created between the land and the sea.
Under the sun, the aluminium sheet absorbs heat and creates hot air inside the draft tube. This hot air then moves from the draft tube to the chimney and out into the environment. Because of this, a low pressure is created within the draft tube. This makes it act as a suction force propeller and encourages the wind from the environment to move into the enclosure through the draft tube and out the chimney. Now, just so that the air moving in is dehumidified, I have used a screen of desiccants. The dehumidified air is then made to pass through a layer of wet jute. This encourages evaporative cooling. So effectively, we now have an enclosure that has dehumidified cool air and speedy wind flow.
To assess the efficacy of the draft tube in relation with the enclosure and chimney, I created two more such prototypes with different dimensional variations in the draft tube. This prototype, with dimensions of 41 into 28, clocked the best results. This innovation is expected to have an unbelievable positive impact on our environment. These sun-harvested cool rooms can be used to stack, store, and increase the shelf life of perishable produce, thus assuring food security, reduction in methane emissions from rotting fruits and vegetables in a gridless manner. This apart, my innovation has application within any space that requires eco-friendly cooling, whether it be industries, places of entertainment, health, storage, etc., without harming the environment, thus making our future more pleasurable and sustainable without contribution to carbon footprint.